Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
What is up? I'm Chris Carter. Welcome to MS Champion Radio. I hope everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving. I know I did, so I know that means you did. So let's just get right into today's topic. I'm going to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about the future, and I actually want to talk about being estranged. And all of those things are going to tie into me being, not necessarily estranged, but the realness and or you seeing right through somebody with dealing with MS, and you're going to understand what I'm talking about when I get more into it, which is right now. So, basically, I am a 22-year-old homosexual man with MS, and I was just reflecting on, I had an awareness cookout, as I spoke about in another segment. I believe my first segment, I spoke about that, and I just remembered, and the reason I want to talk about this, because I've kind of been dealing with like issues within that department, and it doesn't make me feel good to know that I don't have that support, and especially now that it's not just Chris Carter, the 22-year-old, homosexual male. It's Chris Carter, the homosexual male with an autoimmune disease that he has to deal with from the moment he was diagnosed till the day the good Lord takes him. So, and this is kind of going back to the last segment when I talked about insensitivity, but this is going deeper into it. And so, when I was 14 years old, somebody in my family, who I had a lot of respect for, called themselves outing me. And I wasn't out to really, at that time, I was a freshman in high school. A few people knew, but not many people knew. And so it was a terrifying thing to talk about and to speak about. And I always wanted to keep that to myself, because I knew the family that I have, and what is the word that plays a part in when people are judgmental in the family when it comes to someone's orientation. It's religion. And so, but after a while, I really didn't care anymore. But it wasn't at that time that I had that mindset of not caring. And so a so-called family member of mine called herself outing me. And so, and tying that in and saying that to say, this family member wanted to attend my cookout and wanted to help out with arrangements and things like that within the cookout. And I'm a nice guy. I love people, but I didn't want her there. And the reason why I didn't want her there is because you see me, what is the difference between you outing that 14-year-old boy and not even coming to him and asking him, is he a homosexual? You went to the whole family, Then you went to my mother, and you never have come to me, never apologized, never, not once, and asked me anything about when it came to that. And so, me having an autoimmune disease, what is the difference? I just don't see the difference within it, you know? So I am now a homosexual man with an autoimmune disease, and I don't I don't see how it changes the circumstance. You and that showed me your true colors. That showed me the circumstance and how I felt to you, and excuse me, and how I was looked at in your eyes. So what does the autoimmune disease that I live with, what does that change? You know, it doesn't change anything in my eyes, because I still see you the same way. And you know, it um and that's another thing I want to talk about, holding grudges. Life is too short when you have an autoimmune disease, and I don't want to be the one to hold a grudge, but that's a thing. That's what I do in my personal life. That, especially this thing right here, and this is why I want to be open, raw, and honest about it. This has been a very sensitive topic, and it's been a very sensitive topic since I was a little boy, and I wish I could talk about it more, you know, but I'm still like I said, I'm being raw and uncut right now. That's another fear that I have, because certain people around me have that fear of them being looked down on, and I don't want anyone to be looked down on because of what I do, you know. And this is another reason why I'm always so secretive, and I only tell whoever I want to tell certain things to, which is always my friends, and and other people, and a few other people, because I just don't want, and it's mainly family, and that's the part where it hurts. It mainly comes from family that does that, and it always starts at home, because that's where it didn't really start at home, but basically it does start at home. And so, going back to that, I just don't see the difference between what do you want to help the the gay man with autoimmune disease? Because if I just wanted to have a regular cookout, and just have some summer fun, and I didn't have an autoimmune disease, would you still offer your help? So that's what I mean by the realness, and seeing through somebody's character within, while I have this disease, because it's opened my eyes to many things in this world, and people pushing me away, I'm pushing myself away from people, and not wanting certain things around me. And so I I just didn't see that as genuine, and I didn't see the sincerity in it, because one, well, I was going to say, for one, you haven't reached out to me since I've been diagnosed, but I've kind of shut that relationship down to where this family member doesn't really even say anything, pick up a phone to call me or anything, because I I just don't believe the genuine love from this family member, and I just refuse to believe it, because with you don't do certain things, no matter what goes on in somebody's life. You just don't do certain things, and especially as a 50-year-old something woman that did that when I was 14 years old, that was disrespectful, that was hurtful, that was a terrifying moment, because I really didn't know what my family was going to think of me, what my family was going to do. And so now that I have an autoimmune disease, this is something that's going to keep coming up. What has changed your mind? And it could be a thing of guilt that, and that's something I want to talk about, to touch on just really briefly. Some people can have guilt. Somebody who has mistreated you from the past, and they find out you have autoimmune disease, and now they probably want to make their way back into your life, or talk to you now and give you an apology, and that's fine, but I'm I'm a work in progress. I'm 22 years old. So But people have always told a couple of people have told me you'll be over it by the time you're older. And here I am. I was 14. That was years ago. I'm 22. I'll be 23 in May. I'm I'm over it, but I can't forget it. And every time I hear this family member's name, every time I have to be in the same room, that feeling of that 14-year-old boy comes back, you know. Well, not every time I hear, well, when I'm in the same room, that feeling does come back. But when I hear this person's name, I just get really, it's like, why is this person's name being brought up in my presence or in the conversation that I'm having? You know, this, I don't really have anything to do with this person. And, you know, living with an autoimmune disease, it's taught me to learn how to let certain things go. I don't have to hold a grudge, and that's not what I'm doing, but I don't have to tolerate certain things either. Going back to the last segment when you said insensitivity, I don't have to I don't have to tolerate that. So if if my if my sexuality was such a problem, why isn't the autoimmune disease a problem? Chris Carter, all the way around should be a problem for you. You know, I would never, 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 you know, and anyone should never do this, mistreat somebody and embarrass them and, you know, shame them in such a way in front of the whole family and then try to act like it never happened, you know. And I don't know if her conscience was eating her during that the time of the cookout or anything, or what she thought. And but I always have, you know, have always, and I do think about this quite a lot because, you know, I want to be an advocate for that as well, because that was a terrifying moment for my life, because people get disowned, people's parents cut them off, people kick out their teenage sons because they are homosexuals and stuff. And, you know, I never wanted to be in that position, you know. And when it's all said and done, you know, I just want nothing but genuine love around me. I don't want anything to harm or make me stress out. I don't want anything that's going to jeopardize my health even more, you know. And I want to say this too very quickly. We have to treat people with respect too. We have autoimmune diseases, but we have to make sure we're giving people the utmost respect that they deserve as well. If we want to be treated like, you know, human beings, we got to make sure we're treating the next person like human beings. They're not going to respect us and take our health into consideration if we're being buttholes and, you know, saying what we want to say to anybody. That's not going to happen. So respect has to be given all the way around. Can't just be one-sided. It just can't be given to you. Give it out as well. And I'm a firm believer in giving. You're gonna get back what you give out. You know. So I don't feel like I owe this family member anything. I don't, because I've never received an apology. Never. I've never been sat down to say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have did that, because for one, I was a teenager, but no, you shouldn't have done that. You should have come to my mother if it was bothering you that bad. You should have come to me if it was bothering you that bad. You know, it's kids out here every day committing suicide out in the streets, probably going to shelters, terrified because they've been outed. Or they're afraid to come out, so they're going to take their life so they don't have to come out. That's heartbreaking. And I'm blessed that I didn't have that. I had a little more strength. You know, as you get older, your strength tends to grow. That's what I've learned. And as I'm gotten older, I'm noticing how much of a backbone I have when it comes to having tough skin. It's not anything anybody can say to me that's gonna really break me down and hurt my feelings. And it only comes from one person in my family that it really starts to bother me, you know? And it's not this person. This person is like and I'm just being raw with you guys. This person is like glass to me. I'll see this person and it's like I see right through them. They're not even there. That may be a pretty harsh thing to say, but that's the real of it, you know. And in the future, when I have a lot of my stuff together, how, say I want to have, I'm having a bigger event for MS. Why would I want you how do I know you're not somewhere talking behind my back, if if that I'm the man I'm in a relationship with is there? How do I know you're not feeling a certain way, because and this is another thing too. One of my best friends talked to me about it. She was like, it's 2017. Maybe her eyes has opened up a little bit more to homosexuality. That's fine, but your eyes should have been open that I'm a 14-year-old. I was a 14-year-old boy, and you should have realized what you were doing, And I'm a firm believer in taking responsibilities for your actions, and having I always take responsibility for my actions. Everything I've done, it's on me. It's not on my mom. It's not on my brother. It's not on my sister. It's not on anybody. It's on me, Chris Carter. I have to take responsibility for it. So until that responsibility is taken for, I don't really have anything to say, So my autoimmune disease, doesn't really have anything to do with you, because you weren't there for me as a 14-year-old boy, and you've been really cut off ever since then. So it doesn't change now that I have an autoimmune disease, and you've been hearing, because I know family probably tell you how much I be suffering and the things that I go through daily. So I don't understand why the sympathy is all of a sudden starting to kick in, And that's why I'm also a firm believer in mind your business. You don't know what somebody is going through behind closed doors. You don't know what I was dealing with at 14 years old. Mind you, I had a good childhood, and I can always thank my mom for that. But you still, and I'm speaking for all my MSers out here, for the boys who have to deal with this, the young men who have MS. And I know I'm not the only one who has MS and who probably has to go through this, and they feel a certain way, they can't be around their family, and it's like, dang, now I have double to worry about. I had my sexuality to worry about, but now I have a disease to worry about. That can be a big fire in one's brain, and that fire is not going to be cooled, because it's always going to be in the back of your mind, especially when you're being reminded of it. As I said in the last segment, when you keep being reminded of it by a certain person, it's never going to get better. It's only going to get worse, And so and that's a reason why I kind of feel like I want to be estranged from my family, because, and that this is a very sensitive topic and hard thing to say, but it makes me feel that way, because it's like, when does it stop? When does it get better? You can have, and I'm a believer in this too, you can have your beliefs. Everybody has them. But what somebody does with their life, let them do it. I don't always have to hear your opinion. You can tell me one time and let that be that. And that's another thing too. She showed the family member showed me how she felt about me that one time, and that's all it took. And ever since then, it's always, I don't have communication. It's always been, trying to kind of talk to me, and I give the side eye, because I'm like, because the genuine love is not there. It's just not there. To me, it's not there. I don't know what somebody feels on the inside. And so, but the conscience, you just have to think in, as adults, we have to make better decisions, you know, and you never know what somebody is going through. And so with the future, I hope this changes. I hope it does. You know, men don't know what another man, homosexual men who have MS, don't bring that to them. Don't. We don't need that on top of our disease, you know? And you don't know, like somebody like myself, I can say this disease has made me a lot sensitive. I can say I've always been a sensitive person because sensitivity doesn't always mean crying. In my opinion, it means, you know, I'm always touched by certain things. Like I'm a music junkie. Songs hit me the most. That's the most thing in this world that can touch me. Songs with emotion, that always touches me. Movies, if a movie is very sad, movie is very powerful, it'll touch me. That kind of sensitivity, that kind of emotion. But another person may not be able to take that kind of critique. You know, excuse me, that's not even critique. That's plain, straight up, bold faced ignorance. So they might not be able to handle that. You don't always want to make the next man who has MS and he's a homosexual feel like he's less than, you know, because you're judging them. That doesn't make you more than, it makes you look ignorant. Sit down and ask somebody. I would have appreciated her to ask me, you know, and I'm very blessed that I have this platform to talk about this now, because for years I held a lot of this stuff in. Only my friends knew, you know. This stuff, you know, it only and it on and it only has can make me stronger at the end of the day, because that right there really taught me a lot, and that was really the first taste I got of how family can do you. The very first taste of it. I hadn't, and I was 14 years old at that time. I keep saying that, but I want to show you how you know, how much it's really gotten to me over the years. And you know, and just dealing with that and that situation. What, I don't know, maybe it will change my mind one day, my autoimmune disease, and will change my mind to learn how to forgive her. But I've forgiven her. I've forgiven her a long time ago when I gave myself the prayer to the Lord, when I had faith and I asked God to let me forgive her. I've forgiven her. But to let negativity back in my life in that way, it can't happen at this point. Now that MS is a part of my life, it just can't. And it never will. You can't stop certain things, but having control over the energy that's going to surround my day-to-day life, I have control over that. And I will forever, till the good Lord takes me, have control over the people who are going to be around me. And that's not the energy that I want around me, because it's not genuine. You would have thought about that when I was 14 years old, before you decided to do that. So the young men out here, even the older men, you know, you guys stay strong. Remember who you are. Remember your integrity. Remember what you stand for. Remember, the light is always going to end up shining. Things are going to turn around for you, you know. And, you know, I'm not, and for you young men out here, I'm not telling you not to forgive. This is, like I said, I'm being raw and uncut with you guys. This is my situation, you know, and it's a very, very, very hard and sensitive topic, you know, and it's not even easy to tell someone that you have an autoimmune disease, because you don't know what they're going to think of you. Me personally, I don't care anymore, because I have an awareness account and I have this wonderful radio platform. So it only is going to get better for me. So I have no choice now but to tell people, yes, I'm Chris Carter. and I have multiple sclerosis. That right there is not easy to do, though. It's not, just point blank, period. Like I said, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm proud to stand with this disease because it's only going to make me 100% stronger, and the better man that I am going to become. But everybody's sensitivity level is not the same. Everybody's strength is not the same, So, just be careful. And if somebody is out there that's listening that is not all the way okay with someone's sexuality, think before you speak. If the young man, even the young woman, if she has an autoimmune disease, she has MS, don't bring that to her. Just don't. You don't want someone to go in their room and burst into tears for hours, because people do that. People do that. They want to be left alone. This is why they isolate themselves. People with autoimmune diseases. So be kind, be generous, remember who you're dealing with. And that's why now that I do have this autoimmune disease, it's really opened my eyes to see certain things, as I stated before, and I remember what I'm getting into before I get into it and who I'm dealing with. That specific family member, I would never go into business with this family member. If one day God gave me that strength to say, yo, we can have a conversation, and we should have a conversation, and I'm gonna give this 1%, I am 99% sure that will never happen. Never. Because I don't want it to happen. If at this point, maybe at 14, probably I don't know. And now I'm just kind of going backwards, but maybe at 14 it could have happened. There was a possibility, but now it's no chance of it happening. And people say you should let things go after years, but sometimes it takes years to learn how to forgive someone, and it takes years for something to let up, because a sexuality, that's a twister in the mind that we battle with, and autoimmune disease, that's a twister in the mind that we battle with. So now that I have both things to worry about, I have to do what's best for me. And so a conversation, I just don't think it's the best thing for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, with dealing with your sexuality, stay strong, believe what you believe, and remember, you're still one of God's children. You're still going to receive blessings. I'm still receiving blessings every day, and I'm so thankful, and I'm so proud to be who I am. And you know who I am. I'm Chris Carter, the MS Warrior, the MS Champion. You've just tuned in to MS Champion Radio. Thank you. Follow my social media, Young MS Warrior. I'm always there. Feel free to message me. Again, this is Chris Carter, the MS Champion, signing off. See you guys next time.